Dude, I mean, fucking pulling people out of boardrooms and shit, like storming that and fucking lynching their asses in the street. Like,
let's not be the show that, let's not
no,
be
the revolution.
Nah, bro, let's not be sure the cause for it, bro. Let's not be sure the cause for it. But I can understand it. I can damn sure understand it, bro.
Will not be televised.
I'm not saying they should have done it, but I understand.
This is for Toys R Us, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Back for the first time, geek enthusiasts and lovers of the plastic crack. This is your safe space, free from safety. So put your hands on some plastic. It's time for Toy Tea Time. Okay. So what's up, man?
Well, you told us something very interesting, Mick. Is on your way home, you said that things were burning. What? What's going on?
Talk about that, man. CNN building on fire or some shit like that. Right?
CNN building up. Hey, but I told you last night, it wasn't just going to stop, and it wasn't just going to be in that area. And it's not just about, you know what I'm saying, what they try to make it about, yo. Told you, it's going to keep on going.
They can, I guess. If they want the Rona, sure. But that's my way.
Well, this is bigger than Rona, bro.
But no, it ain't. Rona going to kill them. They're going to find out this shit's going to die down, and guess what? Guess what's still there? And guess who's still got to take care of all of those people that got it?
Well, new population again, like I was saying to you last night, the whole point is, outside of obviously the police violence, you know what I'm saying, and the brothers that got changed, and all the people that have got all the citizens who've been wronged and murdered, you know what I'm saying, by these overseers prior to this, building up to this, right? The point still remains when you're talking about the Rona and how it in this situation, motherfuckers can riot, motherfuckers can stop rioting, but guess what? The Rona's still out there, and they still telling you. I don't know what they're telling you where you at, but where I'm at, they're telling you, hey, you want money, you gonna have to go to work because we ain't paying nobody no UBI. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We want our human resources out there making us money, whether they're gonna die or not, whether they're gonna get sick or not.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? The coffers got to be filled. That's the message that they putting out.
You know what?
People are standing up against that shit, man.
You know what I wanted our president to say that could have helped this situation?
You don't know how to help the situation.
For the next 5 months, freeze rent and mortgages. That would have solved all kinds of problems.
Is that not the common sense move? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I can't believe it. I mean, he would have been a fucking champion. People would have been like, yo, I know you said some dumb shit all these years, but thank you.
Yeah, exactly. It's a softball. Yeah. Straight up softball. Like he could have.
Hey, y'all better start. I'm telling you, I better start listening to Chris Hedges, dog. Y'all better start listening to him, bro. He's been forecasting this shit for a couple years now.
I'm gonna say something, dude. If our current president actually says that thing, he may gain some new fans.
I mean, keep it 100. Whoever would be the person, like I don't even understand it, because in the beginning, I was surprised by the fact that the president, Steve Mnuchin, a few of them was talking about, yo, we're gonna send this money out and we're gonna do a reoccurring payment to Americans like $2,000 to $3,000 a month per, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Per adult. They was talking that shit in the beginning, but them fucking donors got to. It was like, whoa, hold on, bro. So I'm gonna start writing up them $1 trillion bills. That shit coming our way. You know what I'm saying? You can get the mother month. You can get them. You can give the poors. You can give the working class.
Yes, look up the poors, please.
Yeah, you can give the servants. You can give the servants the $1,200, one payment of $1,200. You can give the servants, and I don't know what happened, but somehow they got that $500, that $600 for the unemployment out before somebody could stop them. But now they stopping that. You know what I'm saying? So
that's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody feeling all kinds of ways, yo, but the realness is this. I mean, I've been in this conversation all day, in and out of this conversation with 1,000 different people that feel like listen to 1,000 different points of view, right? And I don't feel like anybody's view. I don't feel like anybody's wrong for their point of view, bro. But I just feel like, hey, shit goes the way it's got to go sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. I just want people to know that if y'all come my way with that riot shit, prepare to get a brick to your head instead of, cause I ain't just gonna take a brick to their face. Fuck
what are you talking about, you?
No, man. I remember in the Rodney King riots when that one driver would just mind his own business, driving his truck. People pulled him out of his vehicle, kicked his head in, and dropped him and threw bricks at his head. And I'm like, oh hell no.
Yeah, that was Reginald Denny.
Yeah, but that's I mean that was sad.
He was wiping the wrong side of town. That's all it was.
Yeah, exactly. One and two.
You're in the wrong place today.
That's a bit of a different situation. But to be real, that ignorance is out there. Like we done had a few of our
people calling us dirty these days. They're calling us Asians, Chinese. They're mixing us all up, thinking that we all bat-eating motherfuckers. You know? And I'm like, no.
What the fuck are we talking about?
No, seriously. If you've been looking at social media, there's a lot of that going on where people are attacking us and straight up saying, "You dirty, disease-infested motherfuckers, go home."
That's
right.
Yo.
Exactly. And it's like you're not even Chinese. Like
you know what I'm saying? It's racist. I get you.
We eat different kind of bats where we're at in the Philippines. Our bats are gigantic, dude. That little bat. Our bats eat fruits.
Speaking of the Philippines, just to change the topic just a little bit, did you see that trailer for that movie that's supposed to be set in the mountains?
The trailer that you showed up. It's called the motel or something, or
Arcos or something.
Oh no, Acacia, the Acacia or something.
Yeah, Acacia or something like that. Yeah, some I think it's a science fiction movie or something like that set in the mountains of the Philippines. It looked really cool, so I shared it.
I was wondering why that guy's accent sounds so familiar. I was like, dude, I swear I sound so uncle right now.
Uncle boy.
Well, exactly.
I told you, bro. My ex was Filipino. Yo, I'm well versed in the culture. I know all about Uncle Boys.
Yeah, but going back to the point though, I agree with you. I won't say agree, but what's the word, like Chris Rock take? I'm not saying they should have done it, but I understand. I'm not saying they should have destroyed Wendy's and Target and all that shit, but I understand.
Shit's crazy right now, man. I don't understand how. Actually, I shouldn't say I don't understand. I mean, I totally understand why this is happening, but I don't know. It's just very weird to me that we see now not just black people being upset about this, but pretty much everybody right now.
That's the biggest surprise for me, to be honest, man. To see all them white faces in the middle of all of that, both protesting and the rioting. That was DC. I was like, oh.
Exactly.
I mean, again, consider everybody. Like I was saying to you last night, you got mass unemployment. You got a bunch of motherfuckers being affected by the circumstances of the day, right? You know what I'm saying? And you got a whole bunch of buildup of frustration. I think it's a mistake to think, for anyone to assume that the riots that we're seeing and all that release of energy is just about those two killings. I think those killings are obviously the candlestick. You know what I'm saying? The needle that broke the camel's back. But the frustration, the energy you're seeing pouring out, that's representative of a lot. That's representative of a lot right now. You dig what I'm saying? I mean, at least that's my personal opinion, because like you said, Afotey, like, you see all kinds of people out. You see white people out there throwing them fucking bottles and standing up too. And when I'm looking, I'm seeing a lot of different races, man. So that tells you it's not. I mean, yeah, we can say that everybody's starting to recognize the injustice. Yeah, it's a lot of woke people, right? But I think you got a lot of. Nah, I know you got a lot of people that are sick and tired of playing this fucking game. You dig what I'm saying? A lot of people are sick and tired of playing this fucking game. You got a lot of people, who still hypnotized and walking around they thinking it's all good. But you got a lot of fucking people that's suffering right now of all shapes, sizes, colors, from all walks of life, except for the wealthy side, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
I know, agreed. You're right.
I mean? So, and all those motherfuckers, you see them out there in unison, and I feel even stronger about it when I see that they're not just playing around and just burning the shit around them. They're going up to government. Like White House, they got motherfuckers outside the White House right now. Right now, bro. Like, I'm not sure if y'all watching us everywhere. That's what I was saying last night. That's how you know it's not the same. I was literally just telling my son about this. You got to follow the trends and follow the clues, and you can see that this is a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? You got motherfuckers everywhere. And this dude, I was checking out for the podcast, the same podcast, Political Mysteries. That's the link I sent you, Af. There was interviewing this cat, his brother. He's an activist and author and shit. And he was talking today, and he damn, what the fuck did he say? He said something that was like, it was like a he was saying how because they were talking about politics and the average person thinking that their political action is relegated to their vote. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much the you know what I'm saying, the sum of their political action and ability. And he was like, no, your vote and voting in politics. He was saying voting is
that's just the start.
Yeah. He said that's just 2 to 4 years. He said protests and riots alike. He said that's the politics of the street. He said that's the politics of the people, because he said that's the action that we can take every single day to let these crooked ass politicians and powers that be, corporations, bankers, and everything know that, listen, we're not down for what you're doing. We're not okay with it. And we have the power here, not you. You dig what I'm saying? And he referenced that shit all the way back to like the activism of like the civil rights movements, social justice movements, women's rights movements. You know what I'm saying? That's what he was saying. He made the point that no freedom, no liberty, no real freedom or liberty or change in our society has or change for justice in our society has come from a politician being elected. He said every single change, every single bit of ground that we've gained has come from protests, riots, from the people getting out there and putting their feet on the street and saying this is what it is and this is what it's not going to be. And I feel like we're in a place now. We got to a place where people kind of forgot that and shit. I'm sorry, I don't mean to hog it up, but yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. It's 100% true. And as I said in the chat, earlier, like legit, the only times that Black people's grievances were not just heard but acted upon was when we broke shit.
Yeah.
Literally.
I don't buy that argument that violence don't work. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying what you just said, Af. That's the only time the motherfuckers listen. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad it's got to be like that.
Literally. That's it. They don't listen any other time. Like, that's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have made some progress and some strides, through nonviolent means. You know what I mean? That has happened, yes. But the vast majority of, real substantive change only happens like when, Malcolm X is like all means necessary, or the Black Panthers march on the Capitol building with guns, or, you know what I'm saying? Like when Toussaint Louverture, leads a slave rebellion, or, you know what I mean? Like, that's it. Otherwise, it's just niggas is just gonna march and kumbaya and pray to God, and you know what I'm saying?
Now, I'm not saying like the peaceful protest ain't a part of it neither, but hey, the realness is you just said the realness is that when the shit get hot, that's when they start listening.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I agree. I think in this instance, this calls for a William Wallace moment. This is one of those
for real.
some Braveheart shit.
How do they turn around? How do they turn around and take a country, take a nation, right, through violence, right? Conquer a nation, you know what I'm saying? And build a nation with violence, and then turn around and tell other people, oh no, violence ain't the answer. But it was the answer when you took this nation. You know what I'm saying? When you got your liberty and your freedom and your independence, that was the answer then. Why isn't the answer now? They know it is the answer.
Well, I mean, even our Constitution says it. Like, yo, when y'all ain't happy, y'all have the right to overturn this shit.
Yeah. What's that Second Amendment right about? You know what I'm saying? For real. All them cats that be on Facebook, I don't mean to be fucked. Well, let's go ahead and be fucked. Let's be real. All them let's say all them cats who just don't seem to understand. Let's say it like that, right? Who got all the posts about, oh, this makes no sense, and oh, why are they doing this, and this ain't the way, this ain't the way, this ain't the way. But at the same time, them the same cats would be like bigging up gun rights. Your gun rights ain't for you to have a fucking $1 million worth of guns sitting inside a cabinet, bro. You know what I'm saying? Those gun rights was for a reason.
It depends on who says it, Mick. To be honest, if it's the guy in the hood whose business is getting destroyed as this is all happening, I understand. Now, if it's some dude who never spoke up on behalf of injustice for black people, but when shit like this happens and the riots happen, say all lives matter all of a sudden, yeah, that's the guy that can miss me with that shit.
I mean, but that's the guy I'm specifically talking about. I'm specifically talking about.
Agreed. You're absolutely right with those fools. For me,
that's who I'm specifically talking about. Like that conservative young white dude, conservative young to older white dude.
He didn't speak up for none of y'all when you guys were thing, and then when the rioting, they all got something to say. All lives matter. All of a sudden,
they ain't got a name for Karen's boyfriend or husband yet, or son. You know what I'm saying? Karen's boyfriend, husband, and son was a name, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Spiros had a name for them. I forget what it was. Spiros had a real good name for them.
I'm so torn, guys. You know me. I'm a bureaucrat, so naturally I think of things from a bureaucratic point of view. But also, I can't help. But as somebody who graduated in a liberal arts, ethnic studies degree in college, man, in Asian American studies, I definitely, feel like doing all that grassroots shit again. You know what I mean? It's just bizarre, dude. Like, I'm so torn because like I lived a crazy. The best way I could say it is like your most favorite term that you say on the internet, cognitive dissonance. How could I have radical tendencies but join the army and be a government servant? You know what I mean? It just doesn't equate,
Dude, most of the cats that got radical tendencies or motherfucking was criminals.
This is what this one security guard once told me. I'll never forget it. He was a security guard and he was on his way to becoming a cop in college, right? I go with him to Lucky's one night because he goes, like, sit right here. I'm gonna go get some bait for when we go fishing tonight. So he goes to Lucky's, and I see I see him running out of Lucky's with some shit, then jamming into the car and boning out real fast. I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, I just stole the bait that we need for fucking fishing. Like, dude, you're security you work for security. I don't get it. What are you doing? He goes, dude, it takes a thug to catch a thug, homie.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said to me. I'll never forget it. I've never been more scared for myself for the situation. I was like, dude, you just stole some shit, and I'm with you in your whip, and we're going to. I know it's over some squid, but still, when you're in college and been living overseas forever, coming back trying to understand American laws was like, what's going on, man? It was very scary.
Yeah, he kind of gambled with your life there.
Yeah, dude. Because you're an accessory. I was like, man, I didn't know none of this shit. First of all, I didn't even know how to drive, so I wasn't in the drive. I was just a passenger, ready to go fishing with a homie. And he boned out there with squid. I was like, dude, what's going on?
Weird.
Straight jack the squid from fucking the grocery store at night. I couldn't believe it.
Who steals squid? Like that's such a
random thing to
that's
steal.
such a random item.
Yeah, like I said, when he said that, he said, "It's yo, man. It takes a thug to catch a thug, homie." I was like, "Wow."
That's funny.
So yeah, it's just go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, so what's it looking like out there where you guys are at?
Well, I haven't been out because we're in a.
Well, I guess what I mean is like the interactions you guys are having, whether online, by phone. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm really interested in the different perspectives from you know what I'm saying, from people. Like I was talking to my cousin earlier, and he was saying like, he was saying like he didn't think the whole protesting and the riot. Well, obviously the riot, and I understand when people come down the rioting thing. I know the way I feel, but I understand it. You know what I mean? But he was saying he don't think the protesting and all that stuff is right. He was saying how he didn't think it should happen in Atlanta because the things that happened were in Minnesota and you know what I'm saying, and all of that stuff. And so we had a whole conversation about that. But I'm sad to say I wonder, what the interactions have been that you guys have had. You know what I'm saying, with other people and shit, be it online or by phone or whatever.
I started this morning by making a declaration on Facebook, and I'd have to say that I meant exactly what I said when I said that I apologize for not posting myself on matters when it comes to injustice, when it comes to Black people. I just see it in my feed and comment all the time in any situation where it's on my feed, but never taking a personal stance on my own Facebook posts. And I felt like, and I've seen some other posts that said, the silence from some of my friends on this matter is, speaks volumes. And it started, and I started to think, I'm like, you know what? I just think that maybe I'm just assuming that people think that I'm down for them. Or maybe I'm just assuming that, I'm thinking people are just that know that I'm down for them. And maybe that's a bad assumption. So I wanted it to be put on the record that when things like this happen, I'm going to continue to speak on it instead of just being the guy lurking on everybody's pages, talking about it and chiming in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So people know where I stand. And when I see some bullshit ass stuff like all lives matter, okay, and I get it, all lives matter, but where were you when fucking this dude, why didn't you say something when George Floyd died then? You waited till all of this shit to happen to say this kind of shit, right? Yeah. Fuck off. That kind of shit.
I feel you.
And I've been getting some, I imagine I was a little worried because I'm one of those people who posted stuff before, and I was worried because I've been in my feelings at first, and without looking at the waiting for all the evidence, I just straight jumped into stuff without all the facts, and sometimes some of the things I look like an ass for not taking the time to step back first and waiting to get all the the news first. But I don't know, in this case there really it seemed pretty clear to me, not pretty obvious and in your face that it was wrong all ways. And this is going to sound maybe bad of me because I'm more used to seeing this kind of bad thing happen to Black people on videos, but my feelings were more really disappointed for that Asian dude for not trying to save that guy, for not speaking up, on behalf, like yo, bro, yeah. I'm just letting you know, man, that maybe that might not be a good idea. Instead, somebody brought it up, like in an Asian American article, saying that we can no longer, stick with this model minority bullshit, and and allow the white supremacy to play into this model minority thing and allow white supremacy to continue as Asians, because we just kind of the tendency is for us to stay silent, because for us it's like, well, look at us, we're successful and we're able to get our shit together compared to everybody else mentality. And I hate it. It fucking drives me up the gosh damn walls. I'm like, yo, you know that those same people that you're seeing dying and getting killed, without them historically, you just be a whatever, you just be a chink or whatever the fuck they come, kind of term they would call us, and not have rights either. But people forget. I just know. And that's what that's why I have problems with some of the older generation who came here in the 80s when things were optimal, but weren't around during the 60s when fucking, people of color were getting beat, and they didn't have they have no compulsion to study any of that shit. Instead, they're just happy, look at us. We made the American dream. We got a job. We did this, and we're good, and we made it, without understanding that the circumstances was different for black people versus us. As immigrants, we come in here with hope. For black people, the entire time was spent, trying to demolish and break the spirit and mind and bodies of black people for generations. But for whatever reason, I don't know, I guess it's television programming or what they see in the news or how things are portrayed. We buy into the bullshit. You know what I mean? And I was blind. I was not, I had to take the blue or red pill. I forget which pill it was to see to finally see what was really going on. When you finally see the truth for what it is, it's hard you can't turn away no more. You know what I mean? You can't. If you do, then you're kind of complicit. At least that's my take on it.
Yeah. No, I mean it's the red pill because that's the one let's figure out. Hey, what's up, guys? But I mean, silence is compliance. That's as simple as it is. Like, if you're not actively speaking out or at least showing support, then you're part of the problem.
Yeah, I'm beginning to feel that way, which is why I've decided that I'm going to say something every single time. If it's out there, it'd be known that I'm not feeling it. And you guys can, and I don't care if you're annoyed, then fucking unfriend me then, or block me.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
If you don't like what I'm saying, I didn't need you to be my friend anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, Spiros, I was told that because I said earlier that we need a name for Karen's sons, fathers, and sons, brothers, and husbands. Like what? I heard you had a name for him.
Kyle.
Karen and Kyle.
Yeah, that was it. Kyle. Yeah.
Oh, my friend Kyle's gonna be pissed. Or laugh. He has a pretty jaded sense of humor anyway too.
I mean, it makes sense. It's one of the widest names out there for a guy, Kyle. So.
No shit. That's the guy that owns my comic book store. That's his name.
Are you ever worried that his shit's gonna get destroyed? You're like, yo, all them comic books.
Dudes in Beaufort. They're like like motherfuckers have to really make a trip. Nobody rioting. Yeah, you got to be some dedicated goddamn protesters to come out there. Nah, in Georgia, man, all the main protest stuff happens in like Atlanta and out and around that way, Atlanta metro area. But Beaufort is because I'm way out here, and Beaufort's way past where I am. It's like 45 minutes from where I am. So
I mean, what's the deal with smashing up CNN? Like, is it just because they're the media and they're buying into the what do you call it? They're buying into just portraying the riots as, oh, look at what they're doing now.
Well, I'll say this: I wasn't invited to the meeting to know what we were going to do.
Vicky, we need that inside track on the black delegation.
Yeah, man, get on it, bro. Get on it.
It's funny that you should mention CNN because I noticed on Facebook feed a lot of people that remember earlier today when that one dude Omar got arrested in the middle of the riots.
The journalist.
Right. You know what my conservative libertarian friends all said? That shit was all staged. I was like, what?
Yo, I got a guy that I was just talking to earlier, like literally right before the call, that was like, yeah, that was staged. And I was like, really? I mean, because I
What?
just saw it happen on television, you know, and
Yeah.
he was like, and he was like, yeah, but there's so much fake news out there, and CNN has been caught, lying before, and this, that, and the third. And I said to him, I said, listen, like, I don't doubt that, like, I'm not saying that you're wrong, right? Like, I'm not going to flat out say that you're wrong, because, again, we had this conversation on a previous call, like, with this president we have in the White House and all this crazy shit that's going on, I can't put nothing past nobody anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the thing is, that is a claim, a very specific claim that requires very specific proof. You know what I'm saying? Just because CNN has, not been 100% trustworthy or honest in the past doesn't mean that what we saw happen on television, with our own eyes and heard with our own ears was staged. That's a very specific claim. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, damn, yo, this is like the whole 5G causes coronavirus thing all over again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But
damn.
you know what though? Look at where we are now. We're like, no. I mean, okay. So let me just say this. Like, I think I agree with you there totally. Like, I didn't think it was staged. That's not my thought on it. But I was irritated by I think because I'll come back to it. But I was going to say, let me say this. I think that it's really sad, but it says a lot about where we are today. That we cannot we just off the top instinctively don't believe shit. You know what I'm saying? We don't believe shit that the media puts out, and I think that's the reason why CNN got fucked up here. You know what I mean? Because I'm not a fan. You know what I'm saying? So I'm automatically going to go to the side of CNN's full of shit and they deserve what they got. You know what I mean? But as far as that guy getting, as far as that because it was actually a whole supposedly a whole his whole team crew that got arrested. Yeah,
it was him, his cameraman, and tech guy.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird. I mean, I'm not gonna say it wasn't weird, but like you said, I would need like some very specific proof to believe that it was like a setup. But at the same time, CNN has done some setup shit before, and MSNBC. You know what I mean? So who knows, man? But those motherfuckers deserve that shit, though.
But
not the journalist. I'm talking about the building. I'm talking about like
right.
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 No, but I mean, then I just saw the Twitter post that the cop paintballs the camera that's covering the protests in Louisville.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's like
you posted
it's
that.
like,
I didn't get a chance to look at it. Is it what happened?
They're just reporting, and then you see this one cop just meandering kind of close to the camera, and somebody starts screaming because they got shot by a paintball. And then, a second later, the camera lens of the reporter has paint on it. Like, this cop straight up paintball murked the cameraman.
Damn.
That's foul.
And then, was it earlier this week? A bunch of news channels ran a story about Amazon and how they're taking care of their employees, and it comes out that Amazon released a press release with copy for the stations to read.
Yeah, and everybody read the same exact shit.
And a bunch and it's bullshit because it's on the editor or producer of the TV station to read that and make the call of, are we going to run with it or not? And I mean, I went to school for journalism a very long time ago, and I briefly was a reporter at a small newspaper in Michigan, but I haven't done anything with it in 15 years. But still, that just shit like that irks me, that somebody is that apathetic or lazy that they just accepted the copy and ran with it verbatim.
I mean, but these news stations, these local stations are owned. Like, okay, first of all, let me say this. I got a bone to pick with y'all because I posted a video in the chat, in our Toy Detox chat, like what, last week sometime, if not the week before. It was like last week sometime, early last week, about that whole thing, man. I blew that story up a while back. That means you motherfuckers don't be paying attention to my political. But okay,
Wait, what?
so that whole thing with Amazon putting the copy out
Their
for
propaganda.
to go all to
Yeah.
all the national or to all the local news stations throughout the nation, to you know what I'm saying, and it was ahead of their what was it Spiro, it was just ahead of their stock meeting thing or whatever,
Yeah.
their review thing,
Right,
whatever.
like their stock announcement or something. But
Yeah, it was bullshit. But I mean, again, that's a perfect example of, and it's not the first time shit like this happened. Like, you can go, you know who was real good about pointing out this shit, as much shit as he get. And I mean, I don't really fuck with him like that no more. But that dude, what's his name? The
Tin
motherfucking
foil.
lizard. No, the lizard people guy. Alex Jones.
Yeah, that's
Yo,
it. Tin
he
foil,
was,
dude.
yeah, he was good for breaking this kind of shit all the fucking time. So so Fox owns a whole bunch of shit, but what's the media conglomerate that owns most of these local news? They used to be in charge of doing the ratings. They used to be in charge of doing the ratings
Oh,
things.
Nielsen?
oh,
Yeah,
Nielsen.
Nielsen Media. So Nielsen Media is tied into for the high majority of all these local news channels, right? So most times, a lot of the stories you see going out is being these packages, what they call it, are being sent. And I'm sure, Spiros, you can attest to this. These packages are being sent out to all of these fucking nationwide, these local news spots, right? And they're reading that shit verbatim, bro. Like, it's not like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's not like
And
they're
that's
coming up with story. You know what I'm saying? They're reading that shit verbatim.
You're
and that's
right.
the
It's
thing
lazy.
is it's laziness, and it's not
Yeah.
it's not being editorial in your job, because we used to get packets like that all the time, and the first thing that any editor told me was put it in your voice. So
So let me ask you this shit. Let me ask you this question, Spiros. I mean, one, is there? I mean, as far as mainstream and corporate media go, is there any more true editorial work going on, right? Because what it seems like is they just, like, a story comes out, like, no one wants to really break the story, depending on what it is. So they wait till something like a story breaks by somebody, and then once their trusted competitors carry it, like Washington Post or something like that, then they all just recirculate the same story, like the same press. No, I'm saying no one's doing. It seems to me that no one's doing investigative journalism for the most part. So my question to you is, do you think that there's any more editorial any more editorial work being done? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, on
In the mainstream.
It's funny you should say that, because this reminds me of when the Chinese pilots remember something wrong, holy fuck.
oh
I was
yeah,
like, are
where
you fucking kidding me?
they didn't even fucking fact check that shit.
Yeah, none of it.
None of
That's
it.
fucking
Bending
funny.
ow. Yeah.
I mean, it's that kind of shit, man. That makes you.
It
I mean,
is.
I know
And,
where
I
I
mean,
stand on it, but go ahead.
it's I think journalism is markedly different today than what I went to school for and what I wanted to be. And that editorial aspect, the investigative aspect, definitely seems to be a rarity more than the routine. But I mean, you can see it when you, because I try to get as many sources for the news as I can, just because I don't want to believe one person. But when you go and read a story and you look at, like, Yahoo, and then 5 other small news sites, and it's almost verbatim, like they just picked up the story from the Associated Press or UPI, and they just ran with it, and it's it's disconcerting just because, I mean, it kind of does tie into the whole Trump Twitter spat. Is the people who control the avenues of information can control the narrative.
Yeah.
And I mean listen, I don't like Trump. I think he's a fucking retard. But
he has a point. He has
a point because when Twitter was banning Alex Jones and censoring neo-Nazi groups, and I fuck hate speech. I don't like it, but they also banned anti-war journalists. They banned some dude. I just read about today. This Egyptian reporter who had been covering years and years of injustice and crimes visited upon the people of Egypt by the government and government agencies, and they banned him. And it was just like a whole catalog of Egypt's reporting history was lost when they banned his account, because it was mostly done through Twitter and social media. So I like, freedom of speech is probably one of the things I hold most paramount in this world. So it is scary that it is a scary idea that social media can censor people, because
it's scary that we're begging for it to happen. Like we literally got we really got a society. We literally got a group of society that's begging for it. You know what I'm saying? Because they're so afraid, and they hate Trump so much, and they're so fucking afraid. Right. They're just giving it up, bro.
Like I said, I hate hate speech. I think it's one of the worst attributes of human society. But at what point do you trample on somebody else's rights to protect your feelings? Because it's always the adage of the German occupation of Europe is, first they came for the Jews, and then they came for this person and this person. Exactly. And it's like, and Mickey, to quote you, it's like, when is it?
Me? Careful, you quote me about this one fucked up.
No, it's like,
I don't say nothing smart, bro. See, but be careful.
But I mean, trigger warning. Non-black guy gonna say a word, but it's like, when is it that? When is it your group's turn to be the nigga?
No, for real. For real. Yeah. For real. And it's just a spin of the roulette wheel, bro. Because from what I've seen, and I'm pretty sure you guys would agree with me, or at least I hope you will, that or I expect you to, or that when they make a rule, like they make a rule for the motherfucker they don't hate, but eventually that rule is used on you. You know what I'm saying? Eventually that rule is used on you, bro. And it all started, that YouTube shit. That shit started back with, obviously Alex Jones was not the first, but he's one of the most prominent. When that shit started, they started cracking down on motherfuckers and changing shit and suppressing motherfucking videos. Alex Jones got hit with that shit, and everybody was all down because they hated Alex Jones because he was a fucking nutbag. Next thing you know, all those progressive channels is getting fucked over and pushed down and all kinds of shit. And you see fucking CNN and MSNBC and Fox and shit floating to the top of your goddamn news feed all the time for what? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's ridiculous. And they doing this shit with Twitter now. Like, and even, why the fuck are they showing Amy Klobuchar?
Because she failed to prosecute that.
Right. That's my point. Why the fuck are they asking her feelings about Minneapolis? This is my problem with CNN. This is why I said fuck CNN right here. They still trying to prop her up and give her a chance to clean shit up so she can be the vice president, right? She should be. Motherfuckers should be calling for investigations into her right now, because she had, like you said, she had a chance to prosecute that dude and his homeboy. Right, and did not have a chance to prosecute that dude on 3 different events and did not. They give her the little softball questions now to make herself look good. Shit, man, dude, this shit, boy. I get so infuriated by this stuff. But this is why I feel like CNN deserved that shit, dude. Like tear that whole fucking building down. I wouldn't even give a fuck. And I'm probably wrong for saying that, but come on, man. These cats have been the biggest fucking propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. Like you would think that job would be specifically for MSNBC, but CNN be getting it in.
I must say something unpopular too.
Say it.
Like I had to find the positive in all the times that, that the Asians were starting to become, quote unquote, the niggas of today because of the the COVID-19 thing. And the positive thing for me is that we finally got checked. The people that thought that they had white privilege, all of a sudden found out, nope. So I was like, thank you. The slap, is hard. I'm kind of glad that they woke up. Like, you have to understand that what exactly what you guys said. First they came for this, then they came for that, and now they're coming for you. So
yeah, it's not like Chinese people have had a easy go of it in America anyways. I mean, we just threw them in caves with dynamite to make the railroad, the transcontinental railroad.
I know.
So
I get that too, but there's a lot of Chinese and Asians and Filipinos that thought that they were part of the higher color structure or you know what I mean, or whatever social ladder. And it was yeah. And to see us drop back to the bottom made me feel good, to be honest, because it in many ways it made me say that I have a feeling this day was gonna come, and I knew it. I was right. That's that's why I say it's unpopular, because part of me was like really happy, like, wake up, guys. This can happen to anyone. It's gonna happen to you.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly it. Is that complacency won't lead you to move into action. So if you have a startling event in your life that kind of galvanizes your stance on something,
like burn down a police station.
That shit needed to happen. I'm sorry. I don't care if anybody doesn't like it, but the fact that's the one place that needed to burn. And I know that we all have differing opinions on riots and looting and stuff like that.
I'm right there with you, bro. I'm right there with you.
But I mean, Target's a Minneapolis or a Minnesota-based company, so. What, Nick?
I'm sorry, I just saw this chick. She's on a bike, right? I'm low brow still, bro. I'm not changing my ways, bro.
No, I know.
This chick is on this bike, bro, like on a bicycle bike, right? But she's got like the biker shorts on, biker pants. Oh my god, it was ridiculous. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please continue.
No, it's all good. I was just kind of.
CNN finally did something right. CNN finally did something right.
Yep. I take back everything I said about CNN just because the girl's booty.
Yeah. I mean, god damn, damn.
It's because I've been going to a lot of these this one Asian forum called Asian Dawn, and they're showing and they're showing like all the things that are happening to Asians in across the world, but mostly in America, right? Like there's some being victims from racial beatings, like grandmas getting kicked in the face from people, from in the street kind of shit, and what happens is a lot of the things that these guys were saying on the forums were like, look at these savages attacking us. And I'm like, yo, those just not everyone's a fucking savage, just those guys that did it were savages, and we're saying, see, that's why Black lives don't matter. And I'm like, dude, what are you fucking talking about? I had to unlike that page, so because it just kept, for me, they kept just showing some some shit, and I'm like I said, I was so happy because I'm like I said, now you know what it's like to be in the bottom, and And
This reminds me of a conversation. Yeah, this reminds me of a conversation I was having with somebody earlier in the week about how segregation probably it had some sort of beneficial effect in the sense that when Black people had a common quote unquote enemy, right? We tended to bond together a little bit more readily than we do now. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at, communities like the one in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? Like that was in Seneca Park and like, places like this. It's very rare that you would see something like that nowadays, right? Where there's literally an all Black neighborhood that is, affluent and self-sufficient and polices itself and does all of this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if you think back to the whole Tulsa, Oklahoma thing, right? That was a neighborhood, right? An entire neighborhood, not just a block or two, but a whole fucking neighborhood that had its own transportation system. They had their own banks. They had their own, shopping center, like everything. You know what I'm saying? And like, we don't see that kind of drive. We don't see that kind of, I guess, there's not really much of a catalyst for it nowadays, it seems, because, we've been integrated now. Now, they've given us the ability to, and I say they've given it to us because they have actually, in fact, given it to us, right? The ability to do things that white people can do now. You know what I'm saying? Like before, we couldn't get a loan. I mean, we still kind of can't, but you know what I mean?
So you find ways to
it was impossible for a Black person to get a loan from a bank. Like that just was not done at one point in American history. You know what I'm saying? So we started our own bank. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
And it was doing well.
And it was doing very well. You know what I'm saying? So, I wonder sometimes if segregation, and I know this is a fucked up thing to say, and I don't care. That's the stunner too. Like I don't even care anymore. Like real talk, legit. Like you see how grimy I was talking in the chat earlier about like,
you was kind of getting wild. I was like, yo, this dude didn't have some drinks or something. This dude is ready for the
bro. Like you guys know. Yeah, you guys know I'm usually very calm and collected. Like I might beef with people on Facebook or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But generally speaking, I'm a easygoing dude. Like I don't want no drama. I don't want no problems. You know what I'm saying? I haven't taken my gun to the range in months. Like, you know what I'm saying? But now I'm just like, I need to order more ammo. Like, I need to buy another gun. Like, you know what I'm
Quote
saying?
Baker
Like,
Mayfield, I woke up feeling dangerous today.
it gets to the point where it's just like, yo, like, what the fuck are we supposed to do as Black people?
They got this. I'm sorry. They got this house ass nigga fucking what's this dude's name? I'm saying I can't stand this dude. What's this fucking dude? Bakari Sellers. I can't stand this nigga right here, man. I'm sorry.
He was wasn't he like
crying early, little pussy? That dude, man, he's so fuck. That's one of those phony things that CNN does. This motherfucker crying. Right, like how many motherfuckers you done seen get killed and lynched and shit, and now you crying? Man, shut the fuck up, Bakari Sellers. I can't stand Bakari Sellers. Fucking hardcore Hillary Clinton fan, right? Get out of here, man. Fucking hard.
Tell us how you really feel about Bakari Sellers.
Bro, I can't stand him. You know why? You know another reason why I can't stand these motherfuckers, dog. And here's the deal, man. Like, and I guess it's this. No, wait, you know what? I'm sorry. This is mad disrespectful. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut on your point, though.
No, I was done. That's all. I just wanted to raise that point about how segregation probably wasn't that bad of a thing.
What?
Yeah.
Man, Mickey completely checked out there.
No, he's correct as far as like the progress. I believe the integration may have impeded the progress of Black people in general, because there was all kinds of Black excellence taking place within black only situations were before they were discovered by whites and they wrecked that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, cause like I used to be, you know, in the camp that said, nah, man, like segregation was terrible. Like, you know, it was like one of the worst things that could have ever happened to us. But then, you know, this dude, like, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, once I hit 40, bro, like a lot of the shit that I thought was set in stone really started to change for me, man. Like, I just started thinking about things differently, and you know, was introduced to new ways of looking at situations. And like a lot of shit I used to really be adamant about nowadays, I'm like, you know what, fuck that. I don't believe that anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Particularly this that we're talking about right now with the segregation thing. Like, initially, I was like, you know what? Segregation might have been a bad thing. You know what I mean? But now I'm really thinking about, you know, looking at the history of it and how, you know, the Rosewood, like, niggas had their own town, bro. Like, with
Right,
their
but I
own
don't.
public transportation system, with their own banks, with their own shopping centers. Like, we had all that, you know what I mean? And you don't see that anymore anywhere in America, really.
Well,
You know what I
you
mean?
don't
You
see that.
might see it in, you know, a little bit in like places like Inglewood, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. But even then, you know, there is white influence, you know what I'm saying? And it's usually at the highest levels, like the governor or, you know, the mayor or, you know, some political figure that runs shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and part of me is like, yeah, you know, I love being around white people. I live in a town that's heavily integrated.
You
You know
got
what
a
I'm
brother.
saying?
You got a brother. I'm sorry, you got a brother right now. So right now at the white, I mean, this white chick is about it. She's ready to pop this shit off. Right now, you got the police line at the White House, and then you got like all the people, the protesters and shit, right there right there on the police line. You know what I'm
This is
saying? They ready to
the White
face
House,
off.
like legit the
Like
White
right
House.
now, like you turn the scene on right now. You was looking at it right now. You got motherfuckers ready to run the motherfucking. They done put a fucking blockade wall, like like the concrete wall. They done put that shit up. These niggas is finna break. They finna break this shit down. You had one brother trying to stop everybody, and they pulled, and the crowd pulled them back like, yo, nah, we ain't trying to hear that shit. We finna give them that work. So you got a couple people who trying to stop. You got a couple people in the crowd trying to stop the crowd from going at these police officers and overtaking the shit and trying to overrun the White House. You got a couple people because they know you do that, you cross that line, they gonna mow y'all down. That's the White House. They gonna mow y'all motherfuckers down, right?
They're not
But
gonna play around with that.
the funny shit though is to look at the White House, see that they got that fucking riot wall up. They got a wall up with the lights over it. They've been preparing for it. They knew this shit was coming. You see what I'm saying? Like that's my actual point. They knew this shit was coming. Like I said before, a couple weeks back about all these police departments getting stocked up with riot gear and shit like that, and it was coming up with the excuse that this was supposed to be to protect the testing centers. Why the fuck would you have to protect the testing centers with riot gear? No, they've been preparing for this kind of shit. You see what I'm saying? Because again, I made the point earlier. I'll make the point again. This is not, they covering this shit like it's just about George Floyd's death. You know what I'm saying? But it's not. It's not. You dig what I'm saying? And they covering it like it is. Again, misinformation, but it's not just about that, right? But I'm sorry, I got sidetracked on that. But I was gonna say that I got to part ways on you on that whole segregation bit, bro. I ain't what you did. Because I don't think it's a matter. I don't think the failure was and you know, I'm not saying that you're wrong, or I'm not saying that or anything. I'm just saying that my opinion. It's not these motherfuckers trying to get these police to bid. They didn't yank the cop, bro. They didn't pull the cop into the crowd, and this is wild, dude. This is wild. These cats is not playing. These cats is not. And I'm talking about you got a little white chick right here who was popping that shit off, and the dude was trying to chill her out, and you got a few people trying to chill people out, and they like, nah, we finna get these motherfuckers this work. We tired of this shit.
Wow.
Dude, I mean, okay, so is this deep state set up for martial law? Like, have they been stocking up? Have they been stocking up with the riot gear and stuff because they're ready to go all martial law? Or
Well, they're gonna have they're gonna. So again, I think we talked about. I don't know if we talked about. Well, I know we ain't all been on the same shows at the same times, right? But I've been saying consistently since this whole thing started that, and I'm just sharing my perspective on it, right? You do a and I try to be quickly. I try to speak quickly. You do a it's a pandemic. It's a pandemic. True enough, right? So then you do a national shelter in place act, right? Everybody got to fucking stay in the house, right? Cool, understandable. It's a pandemic, right? But you don't put out any UBI. You don't put any money out there to make sure that people are secure. You know what I'm saying? You don't put a system in place to make sure that everybody has health care, everybody's protected, everybody's financially stable in this time where where the economy is totally being shut down, right? And it's like it's unimaginable, that it's unconscionable that you wouldn't, because the example of it has been set all the way around the world and all of the fucking other major economies of how to handle it for the most part. You dig what I'm saying? Like we're the only major economy that said, okay, we're gonna shelter in place, we're gonna shut down, but guess what? You motherfuckers on your own. We only gonna give y'all $1,200, right?
Right.
And then $500 for unemployment, but only some of y'all really gonna get it, right? And we're gonna but before we do that, we're gonna do a $5 trillion bill and give all that money to the billionaires and the corporations who don't even need it. You dig what I'm saying? So this has been a massive transfer of wealth. You know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers, when they talk about like the economy, and you see these people talking about, oh, well, the stock market's doing good. Why is the stock market doing good? Because we've socialized the stock market. Think about that. We're pouring money into the stock market every day. We've socialized the stock market to make sure the people with all the money in the investment capital and the billionaires and all the motherfuckers are good. Meanwhile, you take the motherfuckers, and I said it's like multiple times now, you take the motherfuckers who are on the ground, the working class, the middle class of America, which our economy is supposed to be built on and based on, right? That's supposed to be the crux of our economy. You take these people and you don't do anything for them, right? You shut down everything. You forecast that 40% of small businesses are going to close, which is yet again the backbone of the economy. Everybody's put into the unemployment system, but then the infrastructure of that system is totally fucked off, because it's like the network, the computer system is like from the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
That shit is totally
that's the thing in Florida. Like, the fucking system was so ass backwards, and then there was a backup server that was never plugged in that they finally plugged in after nobody could get through on the website. And then our fucking baby Trump governor fucking blamed the people filing for unemployment.
They did the same thing here in Georgia. They did the same thing. Like, they literally had the local news talking about, if you're not able to get through, the reason why is because people are making small mistakes or they're refiling. No, that's not the reason why motherfuckers aren't able to get through. The reason why motherfuckers aren't able to get through, the reason why the system is breaking, the system is crashing, is because the system is old as shit, and we've not invested in our infrastructure to support and take care of our people in the way that we should. The richest nation on the earth, right, can't take care of its people. That makes no sense, right? But my point is, I'm sorry, I digress. My point is this, right? So that's the setup. Those are the circumstances by which we are now operating in, right? And then as the shit starts collapsing and motherfuckers is seeing that this shit is real, and the unemployment numbers start going sky high. Meanwhile, our leadership, senators and congressmen and all alike, are finding ways to benefit and warning their friends about how bad shit's going to get, but then telling us it's going to be okay. The virus isn't real, right? You think what I'm saying? And then finally, we see that the system can't take this. Our economy can't take this. Our economy is crashing, and Trump wants to get reelected, but for some reason abandons the early idea he had to send everybody money, which would have almost certainly fucking assured that he would have got reelected, right? Instead, he decides, I'm going to give my people money. We're going to open up the economy, and we're going to tell those fucking poor ass servant class motherfuckers that either you get your ass back to work and make us our money and serve us our products and get us our goddamn lifts and our fucking, food delivery and shit like that, or you're going to starve because you ain't getting no more unemployment. Thank you, Mitch McConnell. You know what I'm saying? And we ain't sending no motherfucking more UBI and fucking $1,200 payments. So now, in light of that, what choice do people have? Because what you gonna do? Either gonna fucking go to work if you got a job and risk getting sick, or you gonna just be fucking unemployed and hungry with the rest of the motherfuckers. Because we got unemployment is like unimaginable now. So my point is this: these motherfuckers knew. Yeah, motherfuckers knew, dog. There's no other way for this shit to go. And if you listen to people, like that's why I said, listen to Chris Hedges and cats like that, right? Who've been forecasting this shit for a long time. And as a matter of motherfucking fact, fuck all them economists. No one has said it better than Afotey when he said that's when you go and you stand outside with a sign that says "Eat the Rich," and that's what these motherfuckers are doing right now on TV in these different states across the nation. They standing out in front of these motherfucking cities and these buildings and these fucking federal buildings and the White House, basically with a sign that is their bodies. That's basically saying "Eat the Rich." You got white boys, black boys, Asian, everybody's out there, dog. You see what I'm saying? That's why I mean, like, the media's covering what they don't want to cover this shit like, oh, protest because everybody's pissed off because everybody's getting fucked over, because then that says that everybody's unified against the system. It's easier to say it's just about George Floyd. And yeah, that's the catalyst, but it's easy to say that because, you know, everybody don't care about that, right? So sooner or later they would think it would dissipate, but it's not going to dissipate. It's not. What you are watching right now is the beginning steps to a social movement through protests, through riots, and it ain't gonna get no better for a while now. Not when you see this shit in every fucking city, in every fucking city, you got thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in the street, and they of all colors. Nah, B, that's not stopping no time soon. And when you bring in the fucking National Guard, it's gonna get worse.
Yeah,
but again,
I just pulled up some footage of the White House protests, and it's a lot of people.
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot, like thousands.
It's a lot of motherfuckers.
It's a lot.
Downtown Atlanta,
actually,
a lot of motherfuckers.
You know what? They're saying that it's actually, thousands is probably a bit of an exaggeration, but there's many hundreds of people out there.
We'll take it. We'll take that number. It's a lot of people, bro.
A lot of people looking at these tweets.
And they ain't scared.
I mean, people need to be protesting outside, like, venture capitalists and shit like that, like your Bain Capital, shit like that.
It'll get there.
Dude, I mean, fucking pulling people out of boardrooms and shit, like storming that and fucking lynching their asses in the street. Like,
let's not be the show that, you know.
The revolution.
Nah, bro, let's not be sure the calls for it, bro. Let's not be sure the calls for it. But I can understand it. I can damn sure understand it, bro.
Will not be televised.
I'm not saying they should have done it, but I understand.
This is for Toys R Us, motherfucker.
Yeah.
For Jeffrey.
Sure.
Somebody dressed up as Jeffrey curb stomping a motherfucking, like, white boy.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see. Like, it raises an interesting point. Like, this is a multi-ethnic, multi-racial, basically a treatise on what the hell's happening right now. Like, people are just like, yo, this is it. I'm not fucking with y'all, man. Like, this is, I'm done. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, motherfuckers, you know, like, motherfuckers are losing their houses and their apartments, even though there's supposed to be moratoriums on evictions and rent in some places. And I just read an article in Tampa that there are companies lining up as soon as the moratorium on evictions expires. Like, they're just waiting to fucking wholesale evict people that haven't worked in months, and it's fucking horseshit. And you see in other countries people getting
that shit down then
$900 a week in Canada, and, you know, fucking America gets one, you know, snack size Snickers,
one paycheck, one $1,200 check. That's
one snack size snack sized Snickers while the fucking corporations get a triple layer chocolate cake.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It's nuts. It's insane.
We're living in the dystopian future of every Disney movie.
Pretty much. It's kind of nuts when you think about it, man. Like these corporations just got $1 trillion plus. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
and
crazy.
That's on top of the $1 trillion that we injected into the stock market, and it fucking did nothing. It was a burp.
Right.
Yeah, that shit was a fucking throwaway of our fucking money. That shit is stupid, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That shit is stupid. But I mean, hey, these cats, they know what they're doing. Like, who was I talking to? I think I was talking to one. I don't know who I was talking to, but just consider, man. Like, it don't make sense. But if you look at it from their perspective, it makes a lot of sense. And when you look at it from their perspective, you start to realize that their job is not to make sure not to support us, to make sure that we're okay, to repay us for our taxes. Their job is not to represent us. We just thought it was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We just thought it makes all this shit it makes a lot of fucking sense. I was talking to my wife about it. I was like, it don't make sense that these things are going on the way it's going, and things and these failures are happening. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you do these things knowing it's going to cause these problems? Why would you let your economy fail like that? Why would you let all these things happen knowing the response and the reaction, right? And then you consider, maybe I'm looking at it from the wrong perspective. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm looking at it from the perspective of, for us, by us, FUBU, right? You know what I'm saying? Nation for the people, by the people. It's not for the people. It's just by the people. It's for them.
It's true.
For them.
Because the people with any kind of money, have bought the rest of the world. As far as well, I don't like America no more, but I got place in the Caymans or wherever the hell, some
Straight up, they
other
can go
place
where they want to go.
Thailand.
They don't believe this stuff gonna touch them. They don't believe this stuff gonna touch them. If you Jeff Bezos, you ain't worried about these protests, because guess what? These motherfuckers gotta order their masks. You know what I'm saying? They gonna order from Amazon. These motherfuckers, their t-shirt gonna get torn when they out there protesting, where they going at to get a replacement, Amazon. You know what I'm saying? So all this is money for Amazon. Like, Jeff Bezos is like left side, right side, police side, protest side. I'm getting this money right now, bro. We getting this paper. We're going to the strip club after this. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything, dog. The zip ties, all of the fucking poster boards they're writing their signs on, all this shit, dog. All this shit. It's crazy, man. It's crazy, dog. But this shit's crazy, dude. But yeah, I'm sorry. I don't.
This is like I got alimony to pay, motherfucker.
Right. I don't think it's a deep state attempt. I think that, the deep state has always been in effect, but I think that it's just the natural occurrence of things. Like all great societies. Well, you guys are smarter than me, so you guys can definitely say it's better than I can say it. Like all great societies, at some point, the top ruling class, they get too greedy, they overreach, and next thing you know, they cause their own fall, man. And I truly believe, I truly believe we are watching that shit. At least the beginning of it. You know what I'm saying?
I want to agree, but again, these guys are like queen pieces in a chessboard and are allowed to maneuver away. I don't think we have, us pawns have enough movement allowed on the board to kill these pieces. You know what I mean? To stop.
Yeah, but we don't gotta kill the pieces. We just gotta show the so-called kings and the queen piece that enough of us is willing to say, fuck the little rules you done put in place, fuck the decency and all that shit. We'll tear all this shit down. You dig what I'm saying? That's what it takes. That's all it takes. Because as long as they got you thinking, oh, it's just a black issue, or oh, it's just a conservative or liberal or white or whatever the fuck. As long as they got you saying, oh well, I'm gonna sit at home and play PlayStation or whatever the fuck. As long as they got you distracted or thinking it's about the motherfucking illegal immigrants who's taking our jobs and all that dumbass shit. As long as they got you looking that way, you're not moving together. You know what I mean? But again, you watch these protests, You seeing the pawns, the so-called pawns, they're moving together now. And those pawns are a serious fucking force. It was enough for motherfucking a police precinct to be evacuated. They retreated. They surrendered that ground. You dig what I'm saying? It's enough for the White House to realize we got to put up riot borders and put up riot police outside and shit and turn on floodlights and hope these motherfuckers don't kick our doors down. I guarantee you Trump ain't in that White House right now.
Oh,
I promise you
no
that.
doubt.
Yeah, I promise you that.
And that motherfucker's probably in Florida right now.
They got him somewhere tucked away, bro. And you know what? And as funny as it's gonna sound, I dare say we might got Trump to thank for all of this shit. In a weird way, dog. In a weird way. Because if we had got, and this is why I will not vote for Biden this coming time. For one of the reasons why. Because had we had Hillary baby eating Hillary Clinton, had baby eating Hillary Clinton, you know what I'm saying? Had baby eating Hillary Clinton fucking one last time around. Yeah, people be asleep right now, man. People be like, oh, business as usual. Democrats got it. You know, Republicans hate them, but you know what I'm saying? And people wouldn't be thinking about this shit right now. But because motherfuckers are so distraught over Trump and everything has just been, it's like that dude, man, his fucking his idiocy, his fucking just inept ability to do anything sensible. You know what I'm saying? Even to do the same dirt that all the motherfuckers been doing. All of them are doing the same dirt. All that information came out about the setup and the Russiagate and how that shit is basically phony. Let's be real. It was a setup. It's fucking phony. We already knew that shit back in the day any fucking way. But all that shit comes out, right? And you start to see that, wait, these motherfuckers are all doing the same shit. So the same shit you got Flynn for was the same shit that any other motherfucker would have been doing in the first place. They all do it. All of this shit, they all do it. But Trump is just no good at hiding it. I don't know if he's just too braggadocio, too stupid. I don't know what it is, but he's got everybody's dirt on the front street. Huh?
He's an idiot. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's got all. So he's that one dude. We all selling crack, but he's the motherfucker that's too stupid to hide to stash his shit and not do the exchange hand. You know what I'm saying? Hand to hand in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? He's that dude. So now the block is hot because of him. So then, and all the people are seeing what's going on now. You know what I mean? So yeah, it all goes together, bro. It all goes together. But you can literally thank his stupidity and his belligerence and all the other little word form and shit.
Yeah, it looks like the Bay Area is wilding out right now. Oakland is fucking it's starting to.
Detroit's heating up right now.
Man, Detroit got nothing
I'm
except for the
saying.
Lion Stadium.
You said there ain't nothing to burn down in Detroit.
I know that place.
This shit's already burned out.
It's already burned.
That reminds me of that Paul Mooney. Did you ever watch that Paul Mooney stand up long time ago?
I watched much Paul Mooney. Yes.
I just watched one of his like a couple of days ago, and he was like saying, you know, a black man praying to God, God, why did you give me skinny legs so that you can be fast and outrun, you know, the animals chasing you in the jungle? God, why did you give me nappy hair so that he doesn't get tangled in the jungles and you can move around freely? And God, why'd you give me such a big nose so you could breathe your jungle air?
Your jungle air.
Yeah, he goes, God, and this is when Paul Mooney got cute. He goes, what, nigga? He goes, why am I in Detroit then?
Detroit.
Why Detroit?
I was like, where's this joke going about the jungle and all of this shit? And then he goes, yeah, why am I in Detroit?
Funny, dude.
Paul Mooney was another one who was kind of revolutionary in a bit with his comedy.
I feel bad for him too because like he got the Cosby treatment recently. I heard.
Mm-hmm.
Did he? What happened?
Well, I mean, because he's being accused. He's already old and whatever, and he's being accused of having raped Richard Pryor's son.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
You ain't heard.
You know what? First of all, I always thought Paul Mooney was a little sweet somehow, right? But what?
You ain't heard.
I ain't heard that, yo. Are you serious?
Yeah, it was alleged, but I don't know if it is actually
Holy
true.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
Yeah, because it what's the name outed him. Supposedly the security guard heard about it and put it out on a YouTube video interview with Hype, and from there, out of nowhere, supposedly, um, uh, Richard Pryor Jr. was surprised that got outed, and he got the media came up to him and asked him about the allegations that his dad's bodyguard said, and of course Paul Mooney's not doing too well health wise, so they're gonna wait till he's old.
Yeah.
This kind of shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
This
Paul
one
Mooney.
dude keep fucking around the camera, bro. Their fucking contract's gonna light him up. He keep on playing. It's like so they keep showing like the crowds and shit, and the reporters trying to report, right? And here in Minneapolis, this is one dude, red sweater dude, right? He keep on pushing up on the journalists and cutting the camera and talking and stuff, right? Like he don't see these contractors, these security contractors. You know what I'm saying? Like them dudes ain't out there protesting, bro. Them dudes got 511s on. They gonna light you up, bro. They gonna pull that sidearm and light you up. Yeah, he got one in his face right now, tightening them up. You got one in his face right now too. Big ass brother, tighten them up. Like get your ass out of here, or we light you up. We ain't police, bro.
We live in a very bizarro
Time
right now. Yeah, it's very reminiscent of my parents. They came to this country in the late 60s, I think just before 1970, right? And there was a lot going on then too. You know what I'm saying? We had in the 60s, we had King assassinated, Kennedy assassinated, I think Malcolm X, assassinated. Like the Vietnam War was going on around then too. So it was a very interesting time. And again, during those years, during that decade, right, there was a lot of social upheaval. There was a lot of motherfuckers just being tired and sick and tired and breaking shit. Like that's kind of what happened. Like there was almost constant protesting all the time. And
I was doing the work, boy.
yeah, people were fed up, and it just I think maybe like you said before, we might be seeing the start of that, man. We might be seeing the start of something like that, yo.
Like you hear them cats always talking black, let's just say, I guess, black news talk radio, whatever. Like what's your man name? The Eagle. What's that dude's name, man?
Joe Madison.
Yeah, Joe Madison, man. I got like a love-hate thing with him. No, I got a like-hate thing with him, right? But you hear those cats, man, and I know I like Karen Hunter, I like her, but sometimes I feel like some timey shit go on with her too. It's a few of them, right? But we still respect to him, right? But it's still some bullshit sometimes. But you hear them talk that shit about, trying to convince us that we gotta vote and all that, and if you ain't voting, all that bullshit, right? But them cats back in the day who fought for us to have our right to vote, I mean, them cats put in work, bro, and they didn't just fight for us to be able to go and vote between some Democrat and Republican parties who doing the same shit, the same parties bought by the same people. They fought for us to be able to fight. You know what I'm saying? They fought for us to be able to live and for us to be able to fight, bro. And I feel like at some point, and to your point earlier about like segregation and whether it's good or not, and what led to the losses that we suffered and why we have the losses, and is it possible because of segregation? I say it's because I'm not for segregation. I would say it's less that and more that one, they took our leaders. Our leaders continued to be murdered, right, and taken from us, right, and then, like you said, they let us do some white shit, right? So we got comfortable, and the fighting stopped. And at some point, we got complacent and started thinking it's just about the voting shit. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but most importantly, I think our leadership got compromised in a lot of ways, bro. Because back then in those times, you had the leaders who were nationally known, like Malcolm X or Mark. Those cats is nationally known, right? I suppose the leaders now who are nationally known, I suppose the leaders who I call the misleadership, right? Them cats, they compromised. Al Sharpton fucking compromised. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Jim Clyburn, the cats compromised, man. You know what I mean? Like them cats ain't no leaders right now. Not for us, not for the people on the ground, right? And then the leaders that we do have, people who are leading, because again, the church ain't really it. You know what I'm saying? The leaders that we do have, right? I guess they're in music and sports and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Other than like local leaders, right? But that national leadership, man, I don't think I think it's not there as much.
Is anyone else?
So what?
Hey, is anyone else hearing? It sounds like helicopter blades when Mickey's talking. Is that?
Yeah. I was kind of abused.
They probably over my house.
They're coming for you, Mick. You're too radical.
They're over my house. Hey, shit. Fucking afterward talking about segregation.
I'm talking about burning down venture capitalists and shit, but they're coming for you.
Y'all too. They're coming for y'all. If they're coming for me, they're coming for me to fucking waterboard me to find y'all ass. I mean, real said, go goddamn, go list the water, the venture capitalists and shit.
I think it's just because it's a combination of us being around the middle aged, and wanting to see other possibilities. Upon further reflection, kind of what other kind of possibilities could have happened if things turned out a whole other way instead.
But see, it's still turning. I was telling my son this earlier. Like it's not over. It's not like a movie. You know what I'm saying? Like I asked my son earlier. I said, if I ask you how long will it take you to become an exceptional person, right, or to become who you're going to become, how long? What kind of time frame would you put on that? And he was like, I don't know. I mean, it's a process. However long it takes. I'm like, that's it. Because he was saying I don't think anything's going to happen from this. I mean, I don't think anything's going to change. I was like, well, son, when do you think the change comes? Like you think it's going to be tomorrow? This is not YouTube. You know what I'm saying? This is a 10-minute video reel, right?
Right.
So it takes as long as it takes. Yeah. And then you got to keep on working on it even past that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's I don't know, man.
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, my headphones might have been dying.
Probably.
My son, for a very long time, has expressed interest in becoming a cop. Like, this was kids when they're little. Like, oh, I want to be a cop. I want to be a fireman. I want to be an astronaut. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Those are the big three: cop, fireman, and astronaut. And my son, he's enamored with guns. He loves guns. Like, that's his thing. Like, he likes guns.
Might be an assassin.
We can get him to do that too. I would condone it, depending on who his targets were. But I
told you one of Frosted Flakes, Dad.
He was exactly. He was essentially, looking at what was happening. Like, I don't necessarily shield my kids from the news. It depends on what the subject is. Like, a while back during the whole campaign, when Trump was campaigning and the whole grab him by the pussy was a thing, like, I kind of kept him away from that. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to have to explain what a pussy was, because he's only what, at the time, he was only like 6, you know what I mean? So I didn't really want to get into all of that. But other things, I put him, I make him well aware, because I don't have that luxury as a father, of a black boy. Like I can't sugarcoat shit for him. You know what I'm saying? He has to know right away. And he has a bit of my wife's temper. Like my wife is super cool, but when she gets mad, bro, it's like it's insane. She goes from 0 to 100. There's no in between, And my son is like that too. He's kind of the same way. So, we have to kind of talk to him about it, like, straight up, like, you fuck around and snap like this at the wrong person, you're gonna get killed. You know what I mean? Like,
damn.
straight up and down. It wasn't like, oh, you're gonna go to detention or you're gonna, get suspended from school. Nah, nigga, you will get killed. Like, I mean, look at Tamir Rice, like, Tamir Rice. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's this sort of, notion that, black children deserve to be treated a little more harshly, or that they are, somehow more, mature than their white counterparts in certain situations, right? Like you see that with increased suspensions and police action in certain schools for minor infractions. You know what I'm saying? Fortunately, like I said early in the call, I live in a very integrated town. Everybody here is cool. Cops are not dicks. They all live in town. I hang out with some of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're all cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I live a privileged life. I really do. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna lie about it or be ashamed of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We worked hard for all this kind of stuff. So, I'm not gonna not enjoy it just because of what's going on right now. But I will make sure that, I use my privilege in ways that can benefit. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we had to tell our son straight up and down, like, you will get killed if you pop off at the mouth like this to the wrong person. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we explained to him, how brutality works, and, um, I for a very long time I was explaining to him that, not all cops are bad. Like, the police that you see on TV that are doing all of this bad stuff, not every police officer is like that. There's a kid who lives right around the corner from us that is his classmate. His father is a cop, right? And I don't want to say the kid's name, but we'll just call him Timmy. We'll just be like, Timmy's dad. Timmy's dad is not a bad guy. Timmy's dad is not a bad cop. You know what I mean? Because he's a nice guy. But then, it's kind of hard to explain to an 8-year-old that, there are no such things as good cops. There are people who are good that happen to be cops, but they're not necessarily good cops, right? Like, there's a difference there. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I say that with total confidence.
I've been wanting to ask you about that, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. The reason why I say that is because if we had good cops, right? If there were more good cops,
or if there was such a
bad, or if there even was such a thing, right? We wouldn't be seeing this type of stuff happening at the scale that it happens, right? Like, again, Nikki, you know this, and I'm sure everybody else on the call knows this too. All the shit that's happening right now, like this George Floyd stuff, this ain't new. This is not new at all. This is systemic. This is literal centuries of this happening over and over and over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying? So, if we had good cops, this wouldn't be a thing, right? I mean, that's it. There's no other, explanation for this, right? There's this blue wall of silence where, so-called quote unquote good cops don't snitch on the bad ones, right? Yeah, okay, then that makes you a bad cop too. You know what I'm saying? Like think about when we go back to our whole segregation example, right? Like way back in the day, even before segregation, like back in, you know, uh, damn near the antediluvian days, like back before, there was Jim Crow, before civil rights, before all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
In America, right? In many places in America, you would have, legit lynching parties where they would string black people up.
And bring
Yep.
the kids and eat sandwiches.
Yep, exactly. And then they would post, they would take pictures of all this stuff, put them on postcards, and sell them in stores, right? Like you could send a letter of correspondence to your girlfriend across the country, and on the back of the postcard would be a mangled black body on fire with white people smiling for the camera around it, right? Like that was a thing for many, many years here in this country. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of listeners to this podcast might not know that, but that was a thing here. You know what I'm saying? And that was only made possible because most white people at the time, not all, definitely not all of them, but most of them were either complicit, down with it, or just didn't give a shit. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
That was literally the way of things. We were
that's what it
cattle,
was.
and then we were
Yeah,
free cattle or released
exactly.
or wild cattle released or whatever. What's a good way to put that?
And the thing is, you know, black people at the time, for most of the existence in this country, were minorities. So we didn't control shit. There were literally less of us than there were of them. You know what I mean? So, overwhelmingly, it would have been probably not so incorrect thing to say that most white people at the time were bad. Like it's just not a wrong thing to say at that time because of the fact that you had this for such a long time. You know what I mean? People were complicit with it. You couldn't even imagine that happening now. You understand what I'm saying? Because most white people now are not down with that stuff. You know what I'm saying? That they're not
That
gonna
was the
allow
way
it
of
to happen.
that
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
culture
So
of the
so
time.
that I use that same analogy when I talk about police. You see what I'm saying? If most police were not down with that type of thing, you wouldn't see it happening for as long and for as much as it does. That's why I say there are no such thing as good cops. There are only good people who happen to be cops.
It's as I think it's one of you guys posted this on the chat, the one where about what Chris Rock had said, the one where cops are have to be like pilots. You can't have being a cop is the only job with like a pilot where you can't have the bad one, because if you have a bad pilot, people are gonna
Die.
Yeah.
Right.
People die.
Yeah.
And that's what happens here. Like,
So then I want to ask a question then.
let me just
Go ahead,
continue a
brother,
little bit.
Go ahead.
And I remember this, this was from a long time ago. I remember Dust Dust used to have these parties at his house, his Dustapaloozas. Shout out to Dustmightz.
Shout
And
out to Dust and the beats.
yeah, his beats, man, his beats are so sick. Um, I forget the name of the new album, and I'm so mad.
Yeah.
He just dropped the instrumental album, and I'm
okay, yeah.
yeah, I can't remember the name of it. I mean, he also just him and Nate Haskell just dropped that Cold Slither 3, which everybody should go.
Crazy. That shit is crazy, dude.
So dope. But then he also dropped the instrumental album too, which is ridiculous, so fresh. But anyway, he used to have these things, and I remember one time I went to one of them, right? And Tyler was there too. Tyler was there. Shout out to Tyler.
Shout out Tyler.
And what's the name? Bobby was there. I think I had this conversation with
Bobby.
you. Yeah, shout out to Bobby Skullface. I had this conversation with you, Mickey, offline about this.
Oh yeah, because I just first heard that Christmas beat, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So now I'm gonna say something, right? And I don't want people to think that I really want to make this very, very super clear, because Bobby is such a popular person. He's a bit of a celebrity in the fandom.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to think that I'm talking bad about him. I'm not. But I'm going to say something about a conversation we had that some people may look at him differently because of it. Right now, so he took a bit of umbrage with a post that I made on Instagram where I basically shared a picture of a graduating class of police cadets that were all wearing KKK hoods, right? And he didn't like that. He was not a fan of that shit at all, right? And I tried to explain to him. And then now, mind you, Bobby Skullface is down for the struggle. Bobby Skullface is down for the cause. You know what I'm saying? He is what we would consider a white ally in the hood, right?
Right.
That's not, up for debate or question. But even somebody like him couldn't understand why I would post something like that, and why it's a bit of a factual statement. You know what I'm saying? It's a little hyperbolic because not all police are Klansmen, right? Like that. Come on, But it goes back to what I said about there not being any good cops. There are no good cops. There just aren't. And if they are there, they are in such small numbers that they might as well not exist. You understand what I'm saying? And this
I
is
don't know. I'm on two minds on that one. But
go
ahead. Well, no.
How? Because again, it goes back to the same. I just want to say again, it goes back to the same analogy with white people in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look back at the history of this country and how it was. I mean, there were whole entire towns that black people dare not be caught in after sundown because you might not leave that bitch alive. You know what I'm saying? They made a fucking book that they would distribute amongst black people that said, here, they were called there were names for them. They were called sundown towns.
Right.
Like, as in, black people, you better get your black ass up out of that town before sundown, or else it's a wrap. You might not live. You understand what I'm saying? There were books that they would hand out to black people to warn them about this up until I think the 1960s, to be honest with you. You understand what I'm saying? There was a movie that came out a couple years ago with Bashara Ali and James Gandolfini called Green Book that was all about this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that was because most white people were down with the shit. Not all of them, but most of them. And the ones that weren't down with it were so few in number and so ineffective that they might as well not have existed. Right. Because if they weren't, then that wouldn't have been a thing. Same thing with police brutality, right? This is hundreds of years of this shit going on. If there were any good cops, right, then this would not have been something that could happen on a sustained basis.
That's why I kind of I can't I'm hesitant to say I agree. You know what I'm saying? Like no. Let me change that. I don't agree. I agree. Everything you said has made sense. I'm not saying that the argument. I'm not saying that your point isn't I'm not saying it's not a hell of a point that you're making. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I'm right. I'm like, goddamn, that shit.
You're struggling to try. You're struggling right now.
Yeah.
To find counter to it.
Yeah, because it tastes right. It tastes right, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like it literally tastes right. You know what I mean? If I give consideration to every bit of the points you made, right? And in order for me to say, okay, so again, I'm on two minds of it. All right. So on one side of that table, right, I'm like, Yeah, I can see that. I mean, consider the history of police and where police came from, of officers. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we all heard the KRS-One joint. We know the KRS line. You know what I'm saying? Officer, 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 overseer, overseer, overseer. You know what I'm saying? So we know where it comes from, right? So with that, I'm like, it's hard for me to go against you on it, right? But at the same time, I can't I can't fully sign on to it because throughout history, even with all those things that have happened, all those cultural things that have taken place, all of those norms that were wrong, clearly evil. Let's just call it what it is, right? Bad, right? And true enough, one could argue it's a matter of perspective. You know what I'm saying? Because if you come from the perspective of, these are animals, not people, here to serve us, and to you being raised in that might not be bad, right? But I mean, it's bad. I'm just being facetious there. um but throughout those times, you've always had good people. You've always had kind people. You know what I'm saying? You've always had that. So even when we come close, putting a little bit, this is between now and slavery. So I can make this statement and speed it up, right? I make this point and speed it up. Um, the reason why I can't say there aren't good cops, and I can't go along with there are good. I mean, I can't dispute. I gotta be fair. I can't dispute that there are good people who are cops, right? Because and this then introduces my point, because at the end of the day, cops are people, in the same way that doctors are people, in the same way the cable man is people, all that shit, right? And the wrongs that we see, and again, this is my opinion. I'm not saying that you were wrong or right. I mean, you know what I'm saying? This is just my opinion, right? And again, I'm damn near close to signing on with you, right? But um, we live it. We
You
live.
have to,
No, no,
bro. You
no. I
have
don't.
to.
I don't. Let me tell you why. I don't. Let me tell you why. Because like we live in a system that is based on white supremacy. I think we all agree with that, right? It's founded in white supremacy. It's all about white supremacy. It oozes white supremacy. And I ain't talking about like clan. I'm talking about literally we are in a nation that was built
Yes,
by minorities for white people. You dig what I'm saying?
we're under
So
white rulership.
right, right. There's no way around it. White people are under white rulership. You dig what I'm saying? So it's there's no way around it. That is your founding fathers was white. You know what I'm saying? The Pilgrims was white. The colonial, all of them motherfuckers was white. There's no way around it. The laws were established by white people. So that you cannot, you know what I'm saying? And those laws were established to help to, you know what I'm saying? For those white people to continue to rule. That's the way it goes, right? That Constitution, all of that shit, and those changes that came to it and that were made came through struggle, they came through blood, they came through life loss to make whatever little changes you can make so that other motherfuckers could just be able to live, you know what I'm saying? Just be able to survive, just not be hunted down. And it took how many hundreds of years for that, right? So I'm dead up on line with that, right? But the reason why I can't say there are no good cops is because if I say there's a good person who is a cop, then that cop and that good person does good work as a cop, then that cop is a good cop, right? So if I say that this system, hold on, if I say that this system, if I say that we have a not a flawed system, but an unjust system, a corrupt system that perpetuates you know what I'm saying, these unjust acts, you know what I'm saying, a system that makes it easy and supports the bad cops, right? That to me makes sense, and it makes perfect sense why we deal with what we deal with. You dig what I'm saying? So I feel that it's not that we have a system of all bad cops and only a few good cops. I think it's that we have a system that is just fucked off, a system that is bad, a system that is unjust, and you have a few people in that system who believe differently and who want to do different things. Like even and just as an example, and it may seem off the path, but just follow me. take the idea of capitalism. To me, and I'm not saying that I'm about socialism, but I'm saying you take the idea of capitalism. To me, capitalism was founded in an evil fucking way. The idea of capitalism was capitalism is about greed, right? But that doesn't mean that every single person that operates in a capitalist society is an evil or greedy person. You dig what I'm saying? That's the only reason why I can't sign on with, because you're a good man. So if you decide that you're going to be a cop, right? I undoubtedly, I believe without doubt. Well, I want to believe without doubt that you would be a good cop because you are a good man. Your moral set makes you a good man, which means that you would do a good job. Hopefully, you would do a good job and be a good cop. You dig what I'm saying? That makes you a good cop. I think that our problem is that we allow. No, not that we allow. I think that our problem is that our system, this is the structure of our system, facilitates the evil and the bad that the bad cops do. You dig what I'm saying? Because there was a time where it was all bad. Let me just wrap this up. Now, let me say this. There was a time where the bar was bad cops. Now they were good cops to other people. They might have been good cops for the white people they served back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But they weren't meant to be good cops for they weren't meant to serve and protect like black people and Chinese people and Indians, Native Americans and all of that shit. They were meant to serve and protect, the plantation owners and all of that shit. So in that way, they were good officers or overseers, right? As time progressed and those standards change through like blood, sweat, tears, and lives lost, right? That standard changes as to what a police officer is and what that public servant's statement operations is. You know what I'm saying? Standard operations is supposed to be and what that person's job is supposed to be. Now, a system based in white supremacy, I think would still uphold that if this cop kills a nigga, you know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying, or locks the moolie up, or locks the fucking dark person up, or whatever for the state to benefit, right? Then one could argue that in that way that cop is serving the white supremacist nation. You think what I'm saying? The white supremacist structure, right? But as we accept what we accept cops to be, the standard that we've set, the standards that we have set, the standard that being the mass public, right? And the standards that we say we want in place and what we accept. I would be hard pressed to say there aren't many cops that fit that bill. I would be hard pressed. I would be very hard pressed to say that. And that's why I can't just readily agree with that. Now, if you're saying the idea of police and what it actually is not a good thing, you dig what I'm saying? And that's why there are no good cops. Okay, well then I would be willing to sign on. That I can sign on to.
I was gonna say
that would make sense. You know that would make sense to me.
Because the way the system is for the idea of what a cop is does not benefit,
right. But the idea of just there not being good cops, only being good people, I can't sign on to that because those people who are good are in a capacity that they are doing good in, and that is still their job, that's still their title, making them good. I don't know if I'm thinking too rationally on that, you know what I'm saying, or too literal, but that's the way I would view it. And I think if we wanted to change it, other than changing the laws, obviously, I think a way to change that would be, again, to raise the bar. You dig what I'm saying? But again, our system perpetuates this failure, this failure and this breakdown in morals and values and even just I guess production or quality, because you pay cops and teachers and firemen and all these motherfuckers, you pay them and even soldiers, you pay them the bare minimum, right? But then ask the most of them, which tells me that our society doesn't really value them. You dig what I'm saying? They're no more than just like the guard dog you keep in the backyard and throw a bone to every day. You don't really love that motherfucker enough to bring him in the house, but you will pay him to keep him just hungry enough that he'll bite a motherfucker, but just fed enough so he won't bite you. That's how I feel that we do teachers and cops and all these motherfuckers who are public service for the most part. You dig what I'm saying? And so I feel like that's the reason why we see so much pitifulness and so much fucked offness, so much fuckery, because our society is literally structured that way. The system is made to work a certain way, and apparently is doing a good job by having these guys do a bad job.
all this talk about the
It's my
system,
opinion. It's my opinion.
all this talk about the system and the way things are reminds me again of why why this conversation between a black man and an Irish guy. The Irish guy.
Sounds like a joke.
No, it's not a joke. This is legit. He said.
You talking to right after that? Like,
No,
a black guy and Irish guy having a conversation. Go ahead,
He's straight. The black guy was talking to the Irish guy, and he was wondering, I don't get it. Why are people so scared of us? It just doesn't make sense. They all act like they're so fearful of us all the time, and we're the ones who are getting beat on, and and all this other shit, right? We're the ones getting thing, right? Well, the Irish guy talks to the black guy and says, "Well, let me tell you the truth. The truth is, we know that you guys have been fucked with and dinked forever, and we're just, and the reason why we're scared is we're waiting for that day that karma comes, and when you guys all can decide to one day decide, I'm just done with this shit, and and get back at us."
Yeah, and that's what you see right now in these motherfucking streets, bro. That's what you see in these motherfucking streets right now.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers walking around terrified.
It's finally.
You know what I'm saying? But hey, after to your point about
James Baldwin, I remember saying that James Baldwin said, he said something about America is I can't remember the way he said it, but it was an actual phrase that I think he said something to the effect of, what you guys just said. America is afraid that we will do to them what they have been so successful in doing to us.
Yeah, that's dead up, man.
I remember the karma check is gonna be cashed in at some point, and that's why they're scared because they know
the real fear comes
in their
from.
hearts.
I know the quote was, "America is lucky that we oh damn, it just slipped me. I'll figure it out later. I'll find it later. But it was such a good quote, man. I gotta find it. But anyway,
I'm familiar with the thought, though. I'm familiar with the underlying idea. I am familiar with that, and it's motherfucking truth, bro. Motherfucking truth. It's just, man. It's I don't know. It seems so simple, but it's very complex, man. It's very complex because they got us divided in so many different ways, and I feel like the racial part of it is like the base. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's the base, but I feel, and I'm going meta now, probably, I don't know, but I feel like it's the base, like the basic, the floor level, right? But I feel like the overall goal is a makeshift caste system. Does that make sense? Am I just saying something stupid right now?
No, that makes sense. It does make sense. Actually,
it makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like the overall goal is to have a makeshift caste system that's self-perpetuating, and I think that here, like the whole great experience. They talk about the great experiment here in America and all this kind of shit. I don't feel like the great experiment is a lie they sold us about, all the different cultures working together and blah 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 blah. I think the great experiment is creating the same fucking imbalance and the same fucking autocracies and dictatorships that we see around the world in all the places that we fucking poke fun of and look down our nose on. I think but successfully doing it here in a way that we don't even realize is being done. You know what I'm saying? To an extent where we actually are comfortable with it, we come to expect it. You know what I'm saying? We accept it. We ask for it. You dig what I'm saying? I feel like that's what the real great fucking experiment is. You dig what I'm saying? Like, because this shit is crazy, bro. Like, where else in the fucking world is it that you can continually shit on the people, continually kill the people, continually take from the people, continually rob the people, you know what I'm saying? Continually have the people, continually increase the amount of people who have nothing, but then have those people fight with each other fight with each other as if their neighbors are the cause of it, blaming their neighbors for being the root cause of it, but never actually look at the motherfuckers who are literally telling you that they're gonna do it to you and do it to you. Where else does that happen, bro? Like nowhere. You know what I'm saying? That makes no sense. But we're down for it every day. I think that's the great experiment. I think that's the great American dream. A society that you can rule the fuck over, and they too stupid to catch on to the fact that you playing them the fuck out.
Yeah, a lot of people voting against their own interest every single time just because they want to troll.
Fight tooth and nail, yeah.
Like they don't. I'd rather die of diabetes before I ever let some libtard fucking tell me that that universal healthcare is good for us.
Yeah, like how do you argue against having healthcare for yourself? How do you argue against not paying premiums on the insurance to a company that's going to tell you no when you go try to use the insurance? Like where else is that? Where else does that make sense? How do you look around the world? I mean, these motherfuckers got us, bro. I mean, like just in general, they got us. Like it's like we're in a neighborhood, and every other house in the neighborhood, nobody's perfect, but every other house in the neighborhood is got their grass cut. You know what I'm saying? Nice siding on the house. You know what I'm saying? Enjoying family time and all of this shit. And in our house, our yard's busted. You know what I'm saying? Our fucking foundations fucked the shit up. The house needs to be painted, but we got big screen TVs on the inside and PlayStations, and we believe we got the best house on the block. Like, where the fuck else is that a thing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't make any sense, man. I don't get it. And motherfuckers will fight with you over that shit. American exceptionalism. And I just don't know at this point what it is that's so exceptional, because they would lead one to believe that no one else has freedom except for us, and it's just not the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not the case, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody, you guys got more education than I got. Please explain to me, because you know what I'm saying. Like, I just ask questions, think about the shit, and you know what I mean. But like, I don't understand that, bro. Like, you know what I mean. Like, what's the like that whole American exceptions? That shit went out with like what, World War II or some shit. You know, that shit's not been the case for a long fucking time. So what the fuck? What the fuck is that? Like, what? How does that shit continue to perpetuate itself? You know what I'm saying? Well, how do we continue to feed into that?
Because I think the problem is there are games within a game within a game. That like different games that are being played. We're playing a different game than others. And
we must go deeper.
Okay, like for example, there's us who play our our daily life game, and then there are those who are planning out, coordinating, the way the world, how the balance of power and all this other thing goes, locally, state, country, then the world.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like those are the games that are being played. Like I imagine there's a group of people out there that are thinking super meta, right? That they're thinking, okay, well, we do know, based on scientific projections, numbers, and all these other fucking algorithms that they all figured out, that the population or human progress and science and resources and all this other stuff, is being worked out, and how to balance all of that. So I'm thinking maybe there's like I said, there's a whole other game that's being played that we're unaware of, and the other game that are being played is us. We're the part, we're the ones being played to figure out the experiments that these people, that the people playing the meta game are you know what I mean, from overpopulation and food, and because every single kind of scientific discovery changes the game, kind of like I remember in the 80s or 70s there was a popular book talking about how overpopulation is going to be a problem. We won't have enough soil or land for where are we going to come up with this kind of
shit.
food and all this other stuff?
How about that as a matter of fact, motherfucking part of the point? Okay, so everybody's got the problems and shit. United States, right? Motherfuckers make the point that, listen, bro, this earth ain't gonna be able to deal with all this bullshit. Y'all gotta cut this shit out. And we here in America be like, nah, fuck that. You know what I'm saying?
Like that's my point. I'm saying my point is I'm sure that there's a game within a game when the game being played. There's somebody out there who's doing projections, who's looking at this all meta, going at the rate of this, of China / technology and fossil fuel / water / virus. Somebody who's calculating all of this shit. You know what I mean? At the rate of certain things that are happening, certain things must happen in order to maintain homeostasis.
Wait, what the fuck are we talking about right now, you?
Well, I'm
too smart on me, dog. You're too smart on me, bro.
Because you're talking about the grand. What you're talking about?
Like, wait, what?
You're talking about the grand experiment, right? Of America. Yeah. But the problem is in a global society where information and all of these things are more connected. Right. I think we live under the illusion that we're apart from other, just because we're thinking of things from a completely geographical.
Okay, I get you. Okay, I got you. And but again, my question is, how is it that, because for most, I assume, right, just for the few countries I've been to, right, most countries aren't. I mean, yeah, there are some social differences and some cultural differences, true enough. But as far as the wealth for the most part, motherfuckers having flat screen TVs, internet connection and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Most places are pretty well connected, and you know what I'm saying, and up on like what's going on and shit, right? So again, I don't think we're any different from any other. I guess I'm asking the question, why is it that our outlook on things is so different from everyone else? If it even is, like, is that the lie? Is that the lie? Is it that our outlook on things or our expectations of ourselves and all of this shit is really no different than anybody else? All the other countries feel the same way about themselves too, but we just I don't fucking know. I don't know.
No, I get it. And that's why when you asked, I was thinking to myself, perhaps there's really social and meta social engineers / world global engineers out there that are making all kinds of projections of the progress of science, technology, all of this stuff, and certain things have to take place in order. I'm thinking that they're calculating how certain events have to take place or things that have to take place in order to maintain homeostasis.
I don't think they're that smart.
Because
you would be sorely mistaken if you don't think that what Yule is saying isn't a thing. Like,
no, I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to say it's no. I don't forgive me, Yule. I'm not trying to say that what you're saying isn't valid, and I'm not trying to say that it's not possible or probable. I'm not saying that because Epstein was all up on that shit. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of motherfuckers was all up on that shit. I'm not saying that. Let me correct it. If I am saying that, I apologize. That's not my intent.
That's another thing too. You bring in an entirely awesome new element. Like what if the same people who are doing the meta also factored in their pedophilia tendencies? Well, in order for this to happen, we certain conditions must be met in order to please. Well, if we're going to have the Queen Elizabeth and all the royalty participate in this, certain conditions must be met.
Hey, you know what? Fuck that. I think I'm going to go in on your idea, as a matter of fact. I'm going to go in on that point. Thank you, Afotey. Thank you for checking me just then. I'm going to go in because again, like the mistake that I made before was looking at things from my perspective or from the ground perspective, like the working class perspective, middle class perspective, and saying this doesn't make sense, right? But then shifting to the overseer perspective, the powers that be, and looking at it from their perspective, it makes perfect sense. So again, in this situation, let me shift my perspective, you know what I'm saying, my view of things. And if I do that, I can see that. I can see that. I can see why we would allow famine. I can see why we would allow so many motherfuckers to die. Why we allow all these certain things that happen. Because I feel like a lot of shit is engineered anyways. I mean, I'm literally making an argument about our societal structure, right? So yeah, you know what, I think you motherfucking hit the nail on the motherfucking head with that shit.
I'll tell you where my inspiration came from.
Don't you say, young Ripper.
The idea of Sicario in general.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, why is a spook involved in domestic, things that the DEA and and FBI got to do? Why is the CIA? You know what I mean? It involved itself in all of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Because I'm thinking that there's something
there. I'm all on that shit. Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, like, these people, in order for certain wars to be won, somebody's got to make projections and calculate all of this stuff. Like, they have to understand, an awareness of where poverty and economics and technology and all and political, all of those, somebody's measuring all of it. Somebody's got to factor in all of it. I know it's a lot to.
Then the question is,
I'm thinking there's Doogie Howser people out there that America, you know what I mean, like a brain trust that the CIA and
Well, then, so the next question. Well, my next question is then, who would they? This motherfucker looting with a goddamn selfie stick. Who would they? And looting at Starbucks. Dude got a selfie stick. This white chick just grabbed all the goddamn creamer, dog. This one dude got his fist there, like, yeah, we did that shit. We got Starbucks. This dude got an arm full of goddamn Starbucks cups. Okay, I'm sorry. So, like, check it out. Now homeboy trying to get it popping.
Asymmetric warfare. That's what I'm getting
at. I tuned out. I'm gonna be honest, because I was getting deep on a story I just read.
Ooh,
yeah, because no,
I'm sorry. I'm looking at my back. I'm sorry.
Robert D. shared a story from the Washington Examiner, which is a right-wing trash site like Diet Breitbart, that said the 88th precinct in New York was overrun. And in the article, they attribute it to a CNN report. When you click on that link, it goes to a tweet from some guy who calls himself a CNN law enforcement expert. And then right below his tweet, there's a guy saying, "Nothing's overrun. I'm down here." And the guy, James Gagliano or whatever, he says, well, my sources, stated overrun. And it's shit like that all these right-wing sites picked up this one tweet from this guy and ran with it.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy how that happens?
And then they try to legitimize the bullshit by claiming it came from a CNN report when it's from a single guy who is a talking head on CNN. And I'll be the first one to call every one of my friends out when they share shit from biased sites, whether it be like Breitbart, HuffPost, whatever. So, but it's shit like that. It's the engineering of trying to add legitimacy to unsubstantiated claims. And that's where people get twisted. That's when their emotions take hold, and then they go down a road where they get all pissed off about something that is literally fake news.
Mm-hmm.
Manufactured consent, manufactured outrage.
We have
the propaganda.
Have so much access to information, that it's almost too much.
Yeah. Yeah,
almost. Not all the way, but almost.
I'm just looking at that thread now. It's pretty funny.
What?
The one where you and Robert are going at it.
I mean, we're not going at it. I think, that's the thing is I wasn't trying to attack Robert in any way. I was just pointing out that it's a biased news site and the shit isn't exactly what it appears to be.
It's funny. He said trash fart face.
Yeah. The James Gagliano or whoever.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just it's tiring. Just trying to wade through all the bullshit to get the real story, and even then it's the story that we're only presented. So like you said, there's somebody engineering everything.
I'm thinking that there's a game within there's probably games within games, man. Because somebody's gotta calculate all of this to win the asymmetrical warfare.
I mean, it's kind of like what Metal Gear Solid 2 was about. Is the Patriots, the shadowy organization, was using AI because they wanted to create a what was it? It was they called it solid snake simulation, but it was actually it was selection for societal sanity, basically, where they would use an AI to filter information so that wouldn't. Basically, Hideo Kojima predicted the world today. Like, the internet is overrun with information because everyone's a content creator, so that nobody can tell what's 100% real, and then it like if you can go Google Metal Gear Solid 2 SSS, and they break it down. Like, they talk about echo chambers and nobody is wrong, but nobody is right.
The fucking police. Sorry.
Go ahead. The fucking police is what?
The fucking police. So they're showing Minneapolis. The police have, they've been pushing the protesters back and shit like that, right? Well, they've been pushing them back out of the city and shit, but they pushed them now into neighborhoods. So and the protesters are trying to stand off with the police, and they're not like doing anything to the houses and shit. As a matter of fact, they're making like a little blockade with the trash and people's trash cans and dumpsters and shit. And they're not fucking people's houses, but the police have pushed the motherfucking the protesters away from the city and all that shit, and the federal buildings and all that shit, and pushed them into the neighborhoods.
That's a terrible idea.
Did you see the shit? Did you see the shit where the cops were outside the murderer cop's house, like 5 deep?
No, I haven't seen it.
Man, why don't you check the group chat, huh? Because I'd be sharing all that shit to you guys first.
I saw that.
Yeah, dude, and there's only an eighth of them that were actually assigned to, to a security detail at his house, and then like all these motherfuckers 5 deep show up, like, and I mean, if I was right there on your page, I'm like, there are no good cops because none of these motherfuckers should be here guarding this shitbag's house. Like I said, I'd be behind the protesters at the house lobbing Molotovs at the guy's house. Like, fuck it,
I just can't. Like, I stand by what I said, man. There are no good cops. There are people who are good that happen to be cops, and just because they do good things while they're wearing the uniform doesn't necessarily make them good cops.
Well, yeah,
you don't get. Go ahead.
No, as soon as you line up on that other side of the blue wall of silence, like, you forfeit. You forfeit your right to be called a good cop.
Period.
Because
story.
Like I said, silence is compliance.
Like, you can't. You're not gonna convince me that I should give a cop praise for just doing their job. Like, you don't get. Like, I'm a father, right? I don't get a cookie for making my son breakfast. Like that's what I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying?
Day, though. Do get Father's
That
Day.
doesn't make me.
Father's Day doesn't count shit.
That's the one day of the year you can guarantee you get some new socks. That's the one day of the year.
Yeah.
New socks.
And a big piece of chicken.
Yeah.
Nobody makes a big deal about Father's Day. It's fucking horseshit.
I know, right?
It's a token holiday.
Token holiday.
The only thing dope about it is the Father's Day sales. That's it.
Yeah, they're not even that good. Like,
as good as Mother's Day. Yeah, Spiros, you're right.
I don't need a fucking 196 piece Craftsman set.
Yeah, the Father's Day sales no as good as the goddamn Mother's Day sale, man.
Mother's Day sales are really good.
Speaking of which, I pissed off the ex and she's being a cunt. So I'm dealing with my own struggle, not to me too, but no, and it's funny because like after what you were saying about talking to your son about his temperament and whatnot. Like my ex sent my son over to my place like on one of the days he was supposed to be doing e-learning, and she's like, he's not listening. He wants to come over to your house because he thinks he's gonna have fun, and you need to not let him have any fun. Which I was cool. I was all right. I was on board with that. Like, because if he's fucking off there, I'm not gonna let him come here and treat it like a vacation. And I mean, dude, I got a little bit of like drill sergeant in me. Like he was whining about something. And I fucking went, I'm like, did I give you fucking permission to whine? And he's like crying. And I was like, stop fucking crying. Like, I got up in his face. Like, he's 7, but like.
Goddamn, you fucking monster.
No, because he's being a little fucker. Like, he's not behaving. Like, he snuck out of his bed to get his tablet at his mom's. And then, like, his mom took away his tablet, so he snuck out of bed and grabbed his sister's tablet. And then he started printing off, like, pictures on the tablet at, like, 4 a.m. And the printer is in my ex's bedroom. So, like, she got shocked awake by the printer going, like, full blast, like, 200 pictures or some shit. And then, like, she took all his shit away, and he shares a room with his brother, and there's a cat in there. And he fucking got into the litter and like threw it all over the room.
God damn.
Like, and he's like, he's being a little terrorist, and it's fine.
He's being a little terrorist.
Oh, and it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine because it's his mom's house. If you pulled that shit here, I'd fucking be livid. But but like, I got up in his face. I'm like, listen, man. I'm like, if you keep this shit up, like, you are not going to be in a good place. I'm like, do you know what happens after juvenile hall? And he's like, no. I'm like, that's called jail. And when you're a criminal, like, you got 2 options because none of your family's going to be there for you. I'm like, you can be homeless or you can be dead. Like, I'm telling a 7-year-old this.
What about middle school, Dad? Damn.
But I was upset that he got to the point that he had to be sent to my house like it was some kind of, prison sentence. But, I mean, he's 7. If he's acting like a fucker now, like when he's 14, he's going to be sneaking out of the house and, getting up to all sorts of nefarious shit. So that's why I had to do the rough love and just be a dick to him now.
You gotta do it now.
I would recommend that you guys show what I've seen in Facebook, especially for boys. I want to bring up, like, there's videos I saw of like people fighting, right, and dying because from regular fights, because like they would box or spar on the asphalt. And they showed pictures of people when they got hit, when they got knocked out, they died. And everybody thought it was just a regular knockout, but it's not. It was a knockout. They didn't wake up. So those are the kind of videos that I would definitely show them. Like, look, kids, here's the deal. You think fighting this could happen?
I didn't mean to derail the conversation. Just like.
Oh no, it's cool, man.
It's like shit's been calm. Shit's been calm for so long, and then she gets a hair up her ass about this, and now she's being pissy. So
yeah. Ebbs and flows, bro. Ebbs and flows.
Yeah. Well, because I'm supposed to pick him up on Monday, because school's out, so I was like, let's just go back to 50-50 as far as the custody goes. And she's like, maybe. I was like, no, there's no maybe. Like, so when I call her Monday, I'm just going to be like, here's the terms of my summer, and if you don't like it, then I guess I'll show up to your house. I guess I'll show up to your friends or your house with friends. So I need to figure it out because she lives in a different county, so I need to figure out who I need to call as far as enforcement of a custody agreement. Because normally, if we both lived in the same county, you'd call the county sheriff. Because there's no.
Oh yeah.
So so
maybe
now I
her
gotta
county.
Like, do I call her county? Do I call FHP? But FHP is highway, so
I think you probably have to call her county because she has residential custody, right?
Something like that. I'll have to call my county and ask them. So I'll call them.
Yeah, I forgot.
Oh,
I had to go through a similar. No, I was gonna say I had to go through a similar thing with my baby mama when we first stopped dealing with each other. But that was in New Jersey. I don't know what the laws are where you are, but in Jersey, and we were at the time I was living in Pennsylvania and she was in New Jersey, so it was like she was the custodial parent, so I had to basically go through her jurisdiction and all this kind of stuff. But
well, I mean, we're 50-50 like on our parenting agreement. But I mean, she's had him full time for like the past 2 months because of the quarantine and the e-learning. But regardless, like that's an extenuating circumstance. That's done because school's out. So I'm just gonna be like, look, it's summer. We either do, and I'm sorry to bore our listeners with details of our parenting agreement, but I'm just gonna say one week on, 1 week off, or we do the 3-4 split that we agreed to, and she gets whatever we agreed to as far as child support, even though I don't think when you're 50-50 there should be any child support, but that's me.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, but I mean, anyway, it is what it is. And if she's like no, I'll be like, okay, then we have a problem. Because now it's no longer an issue of personal preference. Now it's an issue of we're gonna go by the book because I'm not dealing with this shit anymore.
Yeah, I feel your pain, man. Like now me and my baby mama, we're good. We get along.
Yeah, I mean, we were good. We were good for so long. Like, I had the kids full time during the school year last year, like from August up until the pandemic. And, we didn't go to court or anything to get anything augmented because everyone was acting like adults.
Right.
But, as soon as someone gets a hair up their ass and decides they're going to be judge, jury, executioner, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
Then we have a motherfucking problem.
Houston, we have a problem.
All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go off on that tangent.
Nah, it's all good.
But I'm gonna follow Nick's lead. I'm gonna sign off because it's getting late.
I apologize. We've been on for 2 hours and 28 minutes, so I have to cut it off.
Damn.
Yeah, this as long as Lord of the Rings first episode extended edition. All right, well, gents.
Shout out to the cool table, everyone. I'm not naming names. It's 2:00 in the morning. So,
Yeah. Plus, there's riots going on, guys. We all know who you are.
all know the cool tables. Check us out.
Right.
All right.
All right, y'all.